What's good, everybody? It's Lance again, and today we got yourself another review. This is actually going to come a little bit late. I believe this album came out in June. It's already August. I figured, I've been getting a lot of buzz about it. I've been hearing a lot about it. The new Lorde album, Melodrama. Yes, Lorde. I'm not quite sure how old she is, but I know she was young when she delivered her first album back in 2013. It was called Pure Heroine. And I actually quite, enjoyed that album. It was led by the lead single, Royals. She had a lot of love from the Grammys that year. She kind of dropped off, believed that she was just living her life and she didn't really have to do much for music. And then recently she decided to do this album. I have to say, off the bat, I've listened to this about a couple times, actually a few times. So I've been listening to it off and on since Monday, and I have to say that this album is something. It definitely is something. Yeah, this album has a lot going for it. Recorded this album in Jack Antonoff's apartment, like a home studio. It kind of shows that they have some chemistry because the production on this shit is stellar. It's actually one of the best produced albums I've heard in a while, especially from a pop standpoint. It is pop, but it's also kind of alternative at the same time. It starts off with Green Light, her album debut single. It was everywhere for a point. I remember seeing the video. Overall, as an album opener, I kind of felt like maybe it was a questionable decision to put this as the forefront. I would prefer it to have been maybe in the middle of the track listing. It kind of grew on me over time, but when I first heard it, the song itself, I didn't necessarily was that big a fan. I was not that big of a fan of this song. But now that I've listened to it about 4 or 5 times already, it's kind of growing on me, and I feel like it has potential to grow in the future. Sober, which I believe is a nice change of pace from Green Light, which is a more upbeat song. Sober is a little bit more mellow. Signature. Lorde vocals in the background. It really was a nice mellow song to kind of detach from Green Light, which was obviously this more poppy song. And then we have Homemade Dynamite, which was, honestly, I loved Homemade Dynamite. Stellar production and great use of delivery. I feel as if though Lorde really brings a lot of energy to this song. She just brings a lot of energy in general to the whole album. Throughout the album, she gives off this vibe of not only changing pace and changing mood, but also providing a lot of stellar energy and a lot of great, atmospheric vocals that really just put you in a trance and also make you think, because a lot of these tracks have a lot of substance to it. They all are with their own merit, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, if you look beyond just the sounds of the actual music you are listening to, and actually look towards, a little bit of the little subtext that's given, I think that it could definitely make you think and appreciate the album a little bit even more, as well as the song itself, aside from the album. The Lorde, which came right after Homemade Dynamite, was amazing. I fucking love that song. It's so dope. How about this? We're gonna play it. We're gonna play it right now. I really enjoyed this track. I've listened to it over and over again. It's one of those songs that I think that could have potential to grow even as a single. And then we have Liability, which I think is a decent song. Lorde brings it with her energy. She brings it with her line delivery, and she just brings it with her overall presence. However, I do feel that maybe in the context of the album, it kind of doesn't always match up with some of these other tracks in the album, especially coming from the Lorde going to Liability. It's almost we have a small pause or something like that. Then we get into Hard Feelings / Loveless, which I believe is probably the best song on the track list. I love this compilation of these 2 songs back to back. Basically, Hard Feelings is its own song, and then Loveless is the song at the end, which I believe is fucking dope as hell. I love the production. I love the instrumentals. The instrumentals are everything in this. I understand why she kind of combined these 2 songs. They're very similar. One of them being more upbeat than the other, but they still kind of deal within that realm of being this pop orgasmic little compilation or double songs. Even though it's very similar to Hard Feelings, I think that Loveless honestly just brings everything to a whole nother level, and it does not care how popish it is. It has a great hook. It only lasts for 1 minute and 30 seconds, but when it comes and you feel it, because it is a nice transition from Hard Feelings. I could sit through and listen to this song repeatedly and I'll probably never get bored of it. And we have Sober 2, Melodrama, which is a take on like the first song, Sober, earlier in the album, which was track number 2. Now we're at track number 7. Melodrama is the name of the album. Melodrama is exhibited, or not exhibited, but talked about and showcase the effects of melodrama, I guess, in a relationship. It's a nice little transition. It's not necessarily a pause, but it definitely is like a nice little break from the more poppy atmospheric of Hard Feelings and Loveless. But like, it is very much pop as well, but I'm just saying it's a little bit more of like a turn. Now, of course, we got Writer in the Dark, one of the more weaker tracks on the album. I just kind of feel like Writer in the Dark was just at sometimes forgetful. Honestly, found myself going by this a lot when I was listening to it, and then I would try to go back to it and refer back to it because I didn't want to just give up on the song automatically after maybe a listen or two. I wanted to keep on, and I guess you could say the more I listened to it, the more I understood why she put this in the album. I do think that the song is not necessarily up to par with something like Supercut, which comes right after that. Supercut, I think, is an awesome song. It's a nice popish type of song to deter from Writer in the Dark, and it just comes out of nowhere and it just stays with you. And you know, Supercut is a decent track. I really enjoyed it. And then of course we got Liability Reprise, which is a more slower version of Liability the first time it comes up on this track list, which is at track number 5, which is a nice little transition from Supercut to Perfect Places. I feel as it more of as a transition. It doesn't really feel like its own little song. Lorde just bringing her all on the vocals, and while the production kind of takes a step back and lets her be in the forefront. And of course we got Perfect Places. This is an excellent conclusion to the album. You know, she's talking about the realities of like partying and just being her in this situation, and it kind of makes her feel sad. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I honestly think that this whole album, what it has going for it is it's stellar production, it's stellar beats, and for a pop album it honestly has some of the best production I've heard in a while. I think this album is to be digested, even with the acquisition of Greenlight being in the forefront of it, and Liability, I believe, being the second single that she had put out before releasing the full album. I still think that this album has a lot going for it. The transitions, the way she's able to control her voice, the way she's able to work off of the instrumental that the production is giving, the way she's able to just be herself, let everything on the line, and not be afraid to take risks. It's not safe, even though it does have some pop, very pop influenced songs on here, which it basically is pop, but it does take some like merit, just like influence from like alternative. It does take some influence from other styles of not just being pop music, but other styles of music as well. Lorde is not afraid to let herself be known, and I'd argue to even like, you know, compare this to maybe Lemonade or another album like this, where I feel like it benefited from stellar production and a great lead vocalist. It's only 11 songs, which I think is great, because who wants to really hear another 15 to 16 or 18 song album? I don't right now, not right now. She may have not made a perfect album, but I do think she made a pretty damn good album. Guys, I'm gonna give Melodrama an A-. Make sure you guys let me know what you guys thought about the album in the comment section below, if you guys want to. And of course, check out my social media also in the end of this video. I'm Lance Thompson, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.